You're watching Inside the Right. So, Tim, we may have just watched Kari Lake destroy her own campaign for the U.S. Senate. Take a look at this clip.
Even if we have a restricted law here, you can go 3 hours that way, 3 hours that way, and you're going to be able to have an abortion. We have to start looking at the minds and hearts of women and showing them that they can be alive.
See? No problem. Just travel 3 hours to California or New Mexico, hop over to another state, and you'll be totally fine. Tim, as a longtime campaign strategist, how do you think that this message is going to land?
Has this woman not learned anything from her last loss? It's so crazy. I mean, like the big viral clip that I don't know if it sunk her last campaign, but it may have, was the one of her telling McCain voters to get out of the room. You generally, when you're running for office, you're not telling people to go take a hike, and
Yeah.
and this is like even worse than that one, right? Because it's not telling voters that she doesn't want their vote only, which is bad enough, but it's telling vulnerable women that they should leave the state. Like, get out of my state, get out of Arizona to go get this procedure. It is so stupid. There's obviously a practicality element to this too. It's like, what if a woman is having a medical emergency? Like, there's just um, no nuance, no sympathy, no attempt to try to. She's trying to, like, with that weird video she did, she's trying to like moderate, but she's just not capable because she's so deep in the crazy town and she's so adversarial that she's just not capable of doing what is necessary to reach gettable middle ground voters who have mixed views of abortion, maybe are pro-choice, but would be okay with certain limits, right? Like, there are voters out there that are gettable for her, and she's just repelling them by saying, "Get the hell out if you're unhappy, if you need to have a medical procedure, and we've decided that we're going to ban abortion at 0 weeks, even if you're raped in the state of Arizona."
What's the practicality of this message for her? Because she clearly knows that she is in the general election now. So what is she doing by virtue of doing this? Like, who is she trying to appeal to?
So here's
Or is
what I
she,
think.
or is she just so high on her own supply that she can't even get out of her own bubble? Like, she's surrounded by people for whom this is, an earnest position.
I think it's the latter. It's kind of like when Mitt Romney was pretending to be really conservative when he was running in a Republican primary, he called himself severely conservative. Sometimes when you're making an argument that isn't natural to you, you say things that like might make sense in your brain, but then come out horribly.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's what's happening. I think the point that she was trying to make, if we were being as sympathetic as possible to Carrie Lake and trying to get inside her warped brain, which is not a fun place to be, but if I was trying, I'd say that what she was trying to say is, okay, this law might have gone a little bit far, but if you're in an emergency situation, it's not like you can't get an abortion. Like, you could just drive to California. I think that's what she was trying to say. Like, it isn't as bad as it seems, and like the left is over exaggerating it. I guess. I mean, it's a horrific message. It sounds horrible. It's going to look terrible in TV ads, which I'm sure are coming any minute now from Ruben Gallegos' campaign. But I think that's what she was trying to get at. But again, it speaks for a person that has no empathy. Like, it's one of those things like, go drive 3 hours. Like, who are the types of people you're talking to? Vulnerable women,
Right.
women who are uncertain about what's happening with their pregnancy. It's really bad. And one other thing is, I don't even know if she's a genuine pro-lifer. This is all fake. It's the problem with being a totally performative fake, right? I think somebody that was a genuine pro-lifer that has thought about this issue deeply, they might not speak a language that's really appealing to pro-choice voters, but they wouldn't say something this stupid,
Yeah.
right? Because they have the depth of knowledge to make an argument here. She's just such a phony, and I think that's going to be her undoing, one of her undoings.
She also says that we have to show women they can be mothers. Again, you were a longtime Republican strategist. I'm sure that this whole idea of like big government was a pretty potent boogeyman when you worked for Republican
Yeah.
candidates. How are Republican voters, or any voters to that point, going to take this idea that we need politicians, we need people like Kari Lake telling us, like proselytizing how to parent or how to family plan?
Yeah, it's like what was the takes a village Hillary thing? Like, the Republicans were up in arms about that.
Right.
Back in the 90s when Hillary was just trying to say, hey, more people should help in the community. It was a nice sentiment. But yeah, look, again, I think that she is just really incapable of handling this challenge that was dumped on her. Is really what it comes down to, because she doesn't know what to be. Like, Arizona does have a libertarian streak. You could make an argument from a libertarianish conservative perspective that says, okay, I'm pro-life, but we shouldn't have, but this is too stringent, it's too extreme. And, you could figure out conceivably how to walk that line in a way that was politically palatable. Like this is just like, who wants Carrie Lake telling them how to mother? Like nobody. You know what I mean? It's like this weird lady with a weird filter, and she's like keeps shouting at people and getting in fights. And I've spent, gone head to head with her a couple of times, and she's strange. And so I just it's all unnatural. And I think that eventually that comes back to bite you. She's a good performer, and I think it worked for her for a little while. But if you're always performing, things like this are going to happen.
Just a quick note for the viewers right now. If you enjoy the commentary from Tim, please make sure to support him on his YouTube channel. That's The Bulwark. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. That way we can help build up this pro-democracy ecosystem that stretches from left to right. So go ahead and make sure to subscribe to The Bulwark. Tim, she is also not the only person who's echoing this inane message. Here's a clip from Fox Business from a guy named Mark Simone.
If you had to travel to another state to get an abortion, it's not the worst thing in the world. Hopefully, this is a very rare occurrence in your life. Once in your life, maybe you would do it. Buying a bus ticket to go somewhere to get it is not the worst thing in the world.
A bus ticket to go and get an abortion somewhere else isn't the worst thing in the world. You think the vacation angle is going to work here?
Where is the empathy? I mean, again, it's just like, look, there are plenty of people I'm sure that watch this feed that didn't love George Bush, and there were a lot of problems with, like, he made some policy mistakes, but like the notion of compassionate conservatism was at least a aspirationally positive notion, right? Which is like, we want to implement conservative policies, but also, be compassionate and thoughtful about the real lived experiences that people are going through. And, I interviewed Ross Douthat over on the Bulwark's page the other day. Too conservative for me. He's a Christian conservative guy, but he was making the case that right now candidates like Carri Lake should be arguing that, if there are going to be some limits on abortion, then they should pair that with more support for mothers, more access to crisis pregnancy centers, more access to health care, paid leave. Like, okay, like that's at least a coherent, compassionate, pro-life view. That you could see it having some appeal. There's gonna be some people who don't like it, but you could see it, broadening.
As opposed to like, hey, go buy a Greyhound ticket.
Yeah, go buy a fucking Greyhound ticket. You got knocked up, tough to, or like the common thing that you'll hear from the right, the old timey line about putting aspirin between your legs, and that's the problem. It'll, that way if you don't, that way you won't get pregnant. I mean, there was a Republican politician said that recently. We were commenting on, these people don't know how to talk about this. They don't have empathy. Many of them, like that guy on Fox, I think are just straight up misogynists. And so, look, this is not, it's hurting them, and they're flailing, and you come up with shit like this and you sound like an asshole because you are being an asshole.
Well, you were in these circles for a long time. What do you anticipate they're going to do at this point? Do you think that they're going to course correct, or do you think that they're physically incapable of course correcting?
I think it's pretty clear they're already incapable. I mean, you've seen the smarter politicians on the right, like Glenn Youngkin, tried to do this thing where it was, I forget the week number, but it said
15.
Okay, 15. I forget it. Yeah, it might have been 12 in Virginia, actually. I forget. 15 or it might have been 15. Either way, we're gonna pick this number. We're going to have exceptions for rape and incest in the life of the mother. Rhetorically, we're going to name call the Democrats and say they're the really extreme ones, and some of that will be hyperbole and unfair. But like, at least that's a smart political you can putting aside all of everyone's policy views or the ethical component of it. This is like a political tactic. That was, I think, the sweet spot for Republicans, where they still probably would have taken some losses over it, but you could have seen them use that and pivot it to being a somewhat successful political issue, and hopefully other issues would have worked out better for them, immigration or inflation or whatever. This is just a nightmare, right? And like, if they were gonna course correct to that more palatable position, they would have done it already. And just the hackneyed attempts by Carri Lake to try to get there just show how incapable they are of doing it. And it's not just Carri Lake. Look at the Arizona legislature. I mean, a smart Republican Arizona legislature, like, I'm not in the business of giving advice to Republicans anymore, but if the Speaker of the House called me, I would have said, you guys should repeal the 1864 law, put a bill on that's 12 weeks or whatever, and say to the Arizona governor, okay, will you sign this? It'll make it more lenient and make it more liberal. That would be like an offensive political strategy, saying, hey, we'll take it from 0 weeks to 12 if the Democratic governor signs it. Then it's the onus is on the Democratic governor. Instead, what did these idiots do? They blocked an effort to try to repeal or
Even
or
debate.
amend or debate the 1864 bill. Yeah, these assholes, they wouldn't even let them bring it to the floor. They're going to stick with the 0 week law rather in an election year. Stupid, immoral, and stupid, both.
I'm gonna throw to a clip real quick of what happened as soon as that issue was voted down. As soon as Republicans blocked the ability of Democrats to be able to even debate the repeal of this bill. So Tim, like, this is them applauding on the floor of the state legislature because they were able to successfully block a bill and entrench the 1864 law that would ban abortion, the Civil War era law. Like, I don't know how many times I can ask you, but like, how do these people not understand the optics of what they're doing? As if it wasn't bad enough just to block this thing in the first place, but then to stand there and cheer for it, devoid of any ability to see what's happening all across the country, Alabama, Kentucky, Ohio. Like, these are not liberal bastions, and voters are pushing back, and these people seem to not recognize it at every single turn, to our benefit, by the way. Not like I'm complaining about this, because the optics continue to hurt them at every turn.
Yeah. In one of those other videos, the exchanges in Arizona, the Democrats were shouting shame, shame, and there was like a lot of emotion and unhappiness on the floor. And that's the best way I can answer that question for you. I think that they're applauding and they're happy that they've made the Democrats sad.
Right.
And I think that's their highest and best purpose right now. And they don't actually care about the policy. They certainly don't care about the women. And I think that explains it.
Yeah, they just want to own the libs, and it doesn't matter what they're owning the libs on. They're just taking that as the W. That's the only thing that they're concerned about right now.
I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, we will obviously continue to cover this issue. We'll continue to cover any more, missteps they make on this issue specifically. So for those watching right now, again, if you appreciate Tim's commentary, please make sure to subscribe to The Bulwark. I'll put the link right here on the screen, also in the post description of this video. Again, this is to help build up this pro-democracy ecosystem that spans from left to right. With that said, I'm Brian Teller Cohen.
I'm Tim Miller.
This is Inside the Right.